Hey, so we're back here again on opioid addiction. Just trying to spread awareness and education throughout the community. I have today with me Liliana Saloma. She's been my girlfriend for about 2 years, and um, I've enjoyed every moment of it. But there have been instances where I have noticed effects from addiction use and substance use and how that affects her on a more personal level. So I asked her about 2 months ago if she could do a podcast, and she said yes. So we're here. Um, this is Liliana Saloma.
Hello, I'm Lily. Liliana.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to be asking her a few questions. So I'm going to start the stage by asking, can you describe what growing up in your household was like for you?
Um, okay. Growing up, it's like I never really had to kind of, like, both of my parents were not present for most of my childhood. They would come and go, but like my mom, she had me when she was 15 years old, and my dad was like 19 at the time, so that was a big age difference. And he was good player, like not the most loyal. He was like a player, and he got my mom pregnant, and then he also like not long before that he got like my brother's mom pregnant, and then he kind of just left both of them with the child. So like he wasn't really with me when I was growing up. I would have like occasional visits and phone calls, but like that was he was gone. So my mom also was struggling with this like addiction. Like when she was with him, they would do very small food things, and would never go as far as like opioids.
Yeah.
But after she did leave her, she did go farther into that because she would kind of go faster, like be like, hey, let's not like do that, let's keep drinking, But like she did start exploring more after that, and that's like what set her down into her path. And that's like what caused me to not like be so connected with her because at a point like when my mom like passed out on the bed and I started cutting my fingernails and I'm like 2 years old and I start bleeding all over the bed just covered in blood and like she's asleep and not even noticing and my grandma and my tia walked in and they're like we can't have this, like we're gonna start taking care of you. So like that's like basically when they started taking care of me. And since then like I had like so many different mother figures and like father figures that just come in and out of my life and like always like I would stay at people's houses and like my cousin's houses for months on end and just like I would definitely just be jumping around, I definitely have like family there for me, but it wasn't like my family. So like yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What did you learn about substance or coping from your family before you even tried anything yourself?
I think they try to put like spirituality, like religion and Christianity on me. To get me out of that. For a moment it was good, but like it wasn't consistent. And like it wasn't consistent with my life. Like there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
Like they definitely would not try to ignore the fact. We're trying to all be good
Yeah.
in the sense, like they it's just um like you see it happening with people that you know that so like you don't ever like try and be like, hey, this is like wrong, and when you do it it's so elevated and so like like when they cheated and like the cops will show up and like they'll be yelling and crying and it's just emotionally traumatizing, you know, like it was not like that too, so like, I think that's why we try to like just not acknowledge it and be oblivious to it, you know, and like, I didn't really have like, I would have tried to, and it would just be like, hey, don't end up like your mom, but it wasn't like anything like positive, because it was like just negative, and like, you're gonna be just like your mom, you're just like her, like, this, and it just made me feel like I wasn't gonna succeed, and not did push me to succeed trying to succeed more, but it did like bounce back, and like, I think that it was like a best about it.
Yeah. Do you think, so you talked about like religion and like how your parents were like trying to, you know, like necessarily force it on you, but like just try to push that like stigma on you to do better. But do you think there's stigma around opioid addiction and religion, how there's just like a moral bias with people and how they think like if you're a true like religious follower, you know, then you shouldn't be dealing with these opioid crises and you shouldn't be dealing with like addiction and all this stuff. But it's not like linear. And like, do you agree?
I don't agree with that. I say like you can be really religious and struggle. Everybody has their vices. Everybody has their vices, and opioids are addictive. So that makes it like an easy life.
Yeah.
Like have because it is already addictive. Like, you know. So like I think when my mom she believes in God and she believes in like she says to people and she like she believes that's why she's overcome her addiction, you know, and I feel like that's what makes her, you know, her culture so much, you know, and like you have to, it's like you are gonna believe in God and like he's not gonna just like single you out because you like tried opioids. You know, it's just someone trying to give you like and like that's what they're saying and like that's like what opioids are now and that comes from like that's what gets her through it is like knowing that she has that with you know, helping her really with her body health, that's how she describes it, you know.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Let me go to the next question. So when you think about addiction, I mean, what's the first memory or feeling that comes to mind?
Definitely, it's so many, I feel like just like honest, really, because um, just like my first experience with it was like coming when passed out in the bathroom and just like moving out. Like I didn't know she got like into my stomach and she was like saying she was going on the floor and I don't it was really
Yeah.
and then that's just like continuing because like when they do that, like their body is like so weak and like weak and like didn't care and it feels like they're dead. And at that point you know like it is like they're dead. It's like how are you paying yourself and like telling me that you're living things even though like you're still here on this planet for me, but you haven't killed yourself because of me, because you're still trying to stay at the same time. Like, because that is, you are just killing yourself, you know?
Do you think that like that shows you that awareness isn't enough correctly?
I just think, yeah, it's, you definitely need more, like, awareness, then has made the sister two daughters.
Yeah.
Two daughters. And she's going to have coming time. And so many different things, and she's been practicing so many times, but it didn't work until she like truly fucking applied herself. Truly like wanted to do better to force her time into herself. And especially for herself. She wanted it for herself because she's putting it on everybody else. Especially in the end, like that was took a toll on me. But she needed to do something.
Yeah, I think. So, do you ever feel like addiction was something you were born into or surrounded by? Do you think it was like sectioned out, like this is what your life was supposed to be like?
In a time, kind of, like, my dad's an alcoholic, it's normalized to drink and next to compulsion, it's just, it's okay to look at, but there's, like, you don't, like, you use it so much, you buy because you want to have so much to do, and, like, when you're with my mom, it's like, I said that was forever, and I felt like the way that my family treated me, even though that they weren't perfect people, they were doing the same stuff, maybe it wasn't killing, maybe it wasn't like that hard, but like they were doing the same type of shit that was crazy,
Yeah.
And like they would tell me like that I'm gonna do this like crazy, and that's like definitely like your mom and grandma telling me that.
Right.
Like you're the one putting that on me.
Yeah.
Like
and you got further.
You're being hypocritical because you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're just talking shit about my mom.
Yeah.
To me.
What the fuck?
And like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Was there a point where you realized I'm doing the same thing my family did? Because I know that they're saying that like you're gonna be just like her. I don't think you're ever gonna be just like another person. Like you have your differences, even if it's your parent or whatever. You're gonna have these big differences that make you who you are. So, did you ever feel like um, I'm doing that shit, but like I'm doing the same thing my fucking parents did? Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely have felt like that, and like I realized it, but like I felt bad, like, and I think, exactly what you're saying. I'm not going to be with them because look at where I'm at now. I'm 17. I have not had a kid yet.
Yeah.
I'm still in school.
Hey.
I'm about to graduate.
Yeah.
And everybody told me that I wasn't going to graduate, but I'm going to not pursue.
You fucking did it, bro. I'm so proud of you.
And I'm proud of myself for like not letting that tell me that I'm kind of just giving up and it's not like,
What parts of your story feel inherited and which parts feel like they're yours alone? So, like, basically, what parts of the story, like your story, feel like a part of like the generational story of your family, and what other parts feel like just you? Like, what parts are just you?
I think it's like a part that feels like the cycle thing, like that's kind of like been passed down from the generation. Like, just the death, really, like, such a young age, because, so young, they were so helpless, and they don't have, like, anybody else. Like, there's grandma. I mean, I feel like that happened, like, with my cousin, like, too, Because guys at our house either, and like, but my cousin Lee, she's such an inspiration to me. She like lived with her grandma, you know, like next to the grandma, for like like go to high school. She went to the same high school as me, you know, and she made like such a good thing for herself, you know. She's such like a good like I feel like such a good role model for me because she made it out of that. She didn't let that like with her dad. She's like an X-ray technician now. She's great, you know, like she's gorgeous. She's like having all of them. She has all these experiences and like she knows her worth. And like she still smokes pot. Like she still smokes pot and she's on her shit, you know? Like she's like that's what you know, like even though because like they do there is like that extra like, you know, you're lazy, you're hot, like look and like she kinda like proves everybody wrong with that too, you know? Like, I can say I feel like hot and people will say that without me feeling that, you know, that's why I'm saying and so or like any school or whatever. Yeah. There's definitely there's a stigma around it. Yeah, and like that's why like she is like a big inspiration for me because she does just make such a good thing for herself and yeah. I don't know. I just really like my baby. Yeah. My baby. So going off like the topic of like marijuana and like how it's affecting like people with like just like young people and how it changes their brain for dependency on a substance. And you're saying that your cousin proved pretty much that statement wrong, you know? Yeah. And I have seen like studies where people they don't like they use marijuana and they don't really go to any other drug. They just use that their whole life. Along with like other therapies because of their pain. And I've seen that to be pretty successful and effective. Um, do you think that like marijuana can like change and like make you have this dependency? Yeah, most definitely. Like I think that like you can have dependency on marijuana. Yeah. Like, do you think that it can make you more reliable and susceptible to other drugs? I can say that it can make you a little more susceptible, but I don't believe that it's like a good drug. Okay. I believe that it's a choice. You know? And like you can want more and you can like my mom, she wanted more. I guess the first time and smoke. Right. But like you can just stay where you're at. Exactly. You know, like, you don't have to go cut so much like more and like yeah, that could be so bad for you, you know? Yeah. And like I don't that's what I think. I don't think it's a gateway drug. I think that it is like it can be a problem depending how you use it. But like it's not something that can kill you. Yeah. Like, yeah, definitely. So if your younger self could see you now, what do you think she'd say? I think I think she's probably she's funny. Yeah. Definitely. And she's happy that I have a boyfriend. Yeah. That loves me some more. And takes care of me and that she can believe that I'm making out. Yeah. Yeah. I think that she'd be proud of me. Yeah, definitely. I think so too. There's an answer, but I wish I could that. Oh, go ahead. What's the another, what parts of research and how, what parts feel like there's yours alone? Well, I feel like I definitely, like, my story is just like a combination of so many different like experiences, and that's kind of what makes it mine. Because yeah, I don't have like a like just one than like maybe 60 people could have done it. I feel like I'm grateful for that, even though I like sad that I didn't have that. And like,
that's something.
yeah, it's just definitely growing up. Like like I was jealous of that, and like I was jealous of like a happy home, like with like friends, you know, and like oh your mom and dad, but like it wasn't having my mom and dad, it was like my grandma, my auntie, my cousin, you know, like all the time, you know, but like I'm glad that they were so close.
Of course.
And like
I'm glad they were there for you too.
yeah.
Yeah.
My mom, she's really special right now, and like everyone comes to do that person like but she just always wants like wanting to do more, always wanting to do more.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard just because I do have this resentment inside, and I know I do because I wish we could
You wish it had really like would have been like obviously like I feel like you wish like it would have been faster and like sooner in your childhood.
Definitely, but I'm glad that she's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that that was just happening to them.
Yep.
But like I will see her when she really likes the sad, like, and then they realize it. And like just because like you never have that like actual conversation like like actually affected me and growing up like you know, but we've never actually had a sit down conversation about it. And like it's just kind of very funny for us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's do one more question. Um, so when you think about your future family and community, what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
That you can, that you just make your own thoughts, you know, like, you have your own experiences, and like, I think that's next to the big one I've been reading, which is The Dark Side by Henry Hughes. It's about, like, just this Buddha who goes on this journey because he is not content, and it is basically about growing up, and I think that kind of just, like, there's nothing beyond experience, and like the only way to really find yourself is like doing it by yourself and like not doing it by anybody else's thoughts or teachings or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
That was Liliana Saloma from Big Picture, or not from Big Picture, from Durango High School. I'm from Big Picture High School, and that'll wrap up today's episode of opioid addiction and awareness.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.